Hello talk, my enemy, my ally. Hey! Hello gang, hello and welcome back. Welcome back guys, it's the Weekly Wigs. It's the bloody Weekly Wigs and here we are, recording on Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl bloody Sunday. Now, she's had a week. She's had a bloody week. Oh, how are we, gang? How the bloody hell are we? It's Feb, we're getting through the winter. The struggle be real most of the time. But you know what? The days are getting lighter, the sun is setting later, and these are the signs that I hold on to survive the winter depression. I really enjoyed doing my little guest episode last week with Mr. Liam Conde. Saw a couple of you guys have been listening and streaming, which is exciting. I am aware that the guest episodes definitely do tend to bring in a bit more reaction, a bit more engagement, shall we say. And I remember stating at the start of this sort of second series of the pod that I really did want to get more guests on because it's actually kind of exciting for me as well to have someone to bounce off of. But of course, you know, I am the main host, Miss Megan Wigz, so I can't get a guest every time. But I'm definitely getting in the flow. We're testing out the tech. Sometimes it's good to have your friends as your guinea pigs, basically, just to make sure you know you're doing it on a professional setup and you know how to work things. Because I definitely want to start probably getting on more sort of external guests, maybe who aren't my friends, but equally, interesting people, different topics to talk about. But it's wanting to make sure that you've got the setup correct and that things will hopefully run smoothly, because tech issues, as we know, can be a bit of a ball ache. But anyway, really enjoyed that episode, so thank you to everyone that listened and interacted with that. As usual, gang, you know the drill. If you're not already subscribed or you're not following the pod on Spotify or YouTube or any of the socials, then please do come on down to the gang. I'll link them all in the bios. But yeah, so here we are, new week. I've had a busy one. I've had a busy one this week. I started my week feeling a bit low. I was in the trenches. I don't know what it was. I think it was just honestly the winter depression fully taking over my body. It has been so rainy and horrible in the UK for a full 2+ months now. And just work stress, the whole thing. I was not a functioning human at the start of this week. I was crying every day. I was like, I hate everything. Have you ever felt that before? To anyone who genuinely suffers with a bit of winter depression, it's real tough out here. I do not understand how I get through every winter, but I somehow miraculously do. But it's just, it's so brutal. I don't know if this is just a UK thing specifically. I mean, I know lots of countries obviously get the winter vibes, but God, the UK is so grey. It is so grey at all times. And obviously we get lots of rain and just shitty weather. And it just, I'm so sensitive to that. It just really brings my mood down so much. Because just think when a blue sky is out and you open those curtains in the morning and the sun is out and you just think, today's going to be a good day. That is how I feel when I see a blue sky. But when you go weeks upon weeks with just greyness, rain, cold, it makes you not want to leave your house. Well, it certainly doesn't make me want to leave my house. So I think the prolonged feeling of that can definitely get a bit much. So she was in her feels at the start of this week. Let's just say there was a couple crying episodes. Have you seen that meme of Becky Hill? I think it's a TikTok audio, and she's like, well, I had a little cry yesterday and I haven't cried today though. So, it's honestly me. So just know, any of my fellow seasonal depressed gals, if you're out there, just I'm sending the love, okay? Because it is hard times. But like I said, I'm feeling more hopeful. We're nearing spring as we know it. So once I did get over my little mare this week, I actually was kind of thankful I had a work event to keep me kind of busy and distracted. What I'm realizing actually about winter depression and all that shit is it really is keeping active, and it's so hard. It is so hard to motivate yourself to want to leave your house and do things when it is so shit outside and you feel but it's gonna be horrible and I don't know if I want to do anything. But actually pushing yourself to just get out the house and do something really does help. And I had a work event this week where I had to go and assist in person, and I went to Londinium Town, which I haven't been to properly Oh my God, I swear to God, I haven't been on a London trip for like maybe 2 years. Oh, it makes me so sad. I really used to enjoy going to London when I was younger a lot for like West End shows. Like it's definitely sort of a favourite pastime of like mine and my mum's, going for like nice little afternoon tea trips. And you know, London's just like a fab city. Like there's so much there. There's obviously so much history there, the buildings, the landmarks, like of course I love London. It's the capital, fabulous capital it is, but it's just so bloody expensive these days. Like it's insane how expensive London is, even just as a tourist these days, like hotels and all the rest of it. So yeah, to be honest, like I just haven't been in like a really long time. I've like passed through there on other travels, but yeah, I was booked and ready to go though for a work event. So I was like, do you know what? Let's try and make the most of this. I was only there for a night and obviously I'm there to work, but like I had a little evening time and it felt wrong not to go and see a West End show when in London. So I went to take myself to see The Devil Wears Prada, which, by the way, I've got a whole segment coming up later about like what I'm watching and what to watch. The Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer dropped early this week. Woo! Girlies, 1st of May. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. I will be elbowing people to the cinema screens, okay? I can't express how excited I am for that sequel. The Devil Wears Prada original film is such an iconic film. It's one of my favourites. It's one of those, like, you know how Mean Girls is like a cult classic? You can quote so many of the lines. Like, Devil Wears Prada is like that for me as well. Just the Miranda Priestly quotes of it all. That's all. Like, oh, I use many of them in my daily life. Like, I just think that's such a great film. And it's a very, very long-awaited sequel. So the gang's all back. They dropped, obviously, the trailer for it earlier this week, which looks really good. And so in the same spirit, I thought, hey, they've got a Devil Wears Prada musical going on in the West End. I didn't really know much about it or how that would translate as a musical. But it was 35 quid for a ticket. And I thought, do you know what? In this current bloody Cosy Lives crisis, and in the London West End, which is notoriously usually quite expensive for tickets, I thought £35 was a bargain. So I took myself to the Dominion Theatre in the London's West End. It was only like 10 minutes down the corner from my hotel, which was great. And I will say, it was pretty good. Now, do I think it was worth more than £35? Not really. Would I probably rush to see it again? Probably not. But it was still a fun show. Vanessa Williams, the icon, the queen, she's like a famous actress, right? I think she was in Ugly Betty for years. The only thing I know her from is like she sang Colours of the Wind when they brought out Pocahontas. She did like a famous version of that song. And I think she's like a pretty famous American actress. But she was playing Meryl Streep's Miranda Priestly character, and she was really good actually. Like she's a really good actress. And she's a very good singer as well. She's like 60. I think she's 62 or something. She was absolutely going for it. And the cast were, I have to say, I mean, this is the thing I do love about the West End in particular. You get the top calibre of singers and performers in the West End, like next level. And the singers in this one, I didn't know obviously who any of them were. I didn't know any of the songs, but it was perfectly executed and they were given riffs. They were just, and you know, sometimes even like some of the quote unquote, the side characters who aren't as prominent, shall we say, in the cast, even they were like unbelievable singers. And that's when you know you've got like a really strong cast in a show. The outfits were fabulous. It was giving fashion, darling, which obviously it needed to for The Devil Wears Prada. They had some cool little displays outside of the theatre of like all the outfits and the dresses, and they kind of made it look... the theatre itself, if you've never been to the Dominion Theatre, it is giving Met Gala. Like you walk in and there's these 2 massive royal regal staircases. And I mean, obviously lots of the London theatres are like really beautiful old historical buildings. And so they just look grand when you go in there. But I think they'd set it out to make it feel like you were the people walking up the stairs in the Met Ball. They had like Runway magazine signs everywhere, which is a nod to the magazine in the film. They had like statuesques and mannequins of people in the dresses. I was like, this is giving luxury, darling. So yeah, I really had a fun time and I was glad to just like get out and have a bit of fun, you know, because the thing with the winter, it can just feel so gloomy and depressing, and it's like little small joys in life that you need to do for yourself to just lift the spirits, and I was very glad I did that. So she was there on the 10, darling, out on the 10. But yeah, London was pretty busy. Do you know what? I have to say, it's so funny because there was a time in my life where I was convinced I was going to move to London. Before I even decided to come to Manchester, I very much was on a path of like, I'm going to go to London. Maybe I'll live in Reading, which is a semi-affordable, not really. More on that on another episode because that is due to come about the whole move situation. But yeah, the fact that I was so like set on London before Manchester, I have to just, sorry, not to give like London slander, but oh my God, am I glad I never went down that path, because I love me some London. I love a cute little London trip as a tourist probably, but oh, it is a bit hellish. Like just going on the tube, the rush hour of it all, trying to get down a path in Central, and it is just pandemonium. Like it's like full maze, like trying to dodge your way around prams and people. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit overwhelming. And I was like, girl, I like, get me back to Manchester, please. Manchester is so much calmer, but also has the city vibes that I'm looking for. So yeah, I don't know if this is an age thing or maybe I'm growing out of it a little bit, but like it was given chaos. So I wasn't really down for that, but it was worth it for the show. London is always worth it for the things you get to do, like the West End shows, the beautiful buildings, the afternoon tea, the museums. Like you kind of have to go through the pain of the chaos and the people everywhere to enjoy it. One thing I actually want to say though, which is actually, considering it is one of the like most prominent cities in the globe, it is the capital of our country, an absolute thriving hub for people, I still find it insanely shocking how non-accessible friendly London is. And I guess I'm specifically talking about like the public transport, the tube. Like it's such an old, like Victorian infrastructure, obviously, lots of London. And it's like, it still shocks me every time the amount of tube stations you go through and you have to go up loads of steps and there's like hardly any lifts in many of the stations. I just think, how can you be this pioneering, huge city and still to this day not be able to figure out a way to like rebuild some of these stations or add lifts or something? Like, I really just genuinely feel very sorry for wheelchair users across this country, quite frankly, because I do think accessibility is often a second thought when it comes to just operating in this life, you know? And if I'm being honest, like I saw it and experienced it in like the work event as well. It's like we had this work event in like a very lovely historical building, but like having to figure out access for some of the guests who are wheelchair users, and even sometimes in the hotels, like I was in a hotel and there was a wheelchair guest, and it's like it was a weird setup where there was a lift area, but then you have to take like 2 steps to get down to the lift area, and there was this lady in a wheelchair by the lift area, and she was having to like shout around to the reception to get the attention for somebody to bring around a ramp for her. And it's just like the absolute inconvenience of that on someone's life is crazy. And it's like I can't imagine how frustrating, or I don't know if humiliating is the word, but just it's like it sort of feels like you're having to make a bit of a scene to feel seen. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it just makes me kind of mad that still happened. I mean, I feel like that's a whole discussion in itself, but I just notice it a lot about London, and I find it really shocking that it is in London because it's such a huge city, and you would just honestly think by now that we would have bloody figured it out. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, sort it out, London, come on. There's lots of cities globally that have that shit in check and you don't, so no excuses. Sadiq Khan, do something about it, hen. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that matter. She's been to Londinium for a quick 24-hour hop. It was piddling it down with rain when I came back. I got absolutely soaked. Having to make my way back to Euston Station, by the way, during rush hour. Oh my God, not cute. Not cute at all. Everyone's just like drowned rats. You could, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience, right? You know, you just see like depictions in movies and television programs of like the big city life, and it's just a lot of, you know, young adults and professionals. Everyone's really moody. No one's speaking to each other on the tube. Bags under everyone's eyes. Like, and I was just that person. I was like, oh my God, I'm like what you see in the movies when you look at like overworked professionals and adults. And I just had like a 12-hour day at this event. I was so exhausted, and I'm just there soaked like a rat from the rain, hanging on to the tube, you know, the pole thing on the tube, just like swaying back and forth. Just like, I want to go home and be in my bed. This isn't fun anymore. And I was like, honestly, this is very real. And I'm relating to all these people now. Like, I am usually in London as a tourist with probably much more energy and doing fun, exciting things. But when you're there for work, you're like, oh, this isn't like the same. So yeah, safe to say, I was very happy to be back in my nice warm bed when I go back to Manchester. And here we are. We've reached the weekend. We've had a bit of a recoup. And yeah, like I said, it's Super Bowl Sunday today. A lot happening in culture. There's a lot been going on this weekend. Today's episode, right, is just a bit of a shit chat episode, okay? I got no specific theme. I've just got rambles and thoughts and bullet points to go through. We've got some different segments of just things that have gone on this week and all sorts of topics. We just had the Grammys. The Grammys took place last week. I was talking about the Grammys in some previous episodes and said I would come and give my reaction. So I've got some thoughts. First of all, we need to address the fact that Justin Bieber just casually performed in his boxers. What in God's name was that? So Justin Bieber, he was there. He was performing his Grammy-nominated song, Yukon, which is a great song. I'm actually surprised he didn't get an award for that. Like, I think Yukon's a really good song. But he performs it so nonchalant. I mean, he was great. Like, he sounded great. But he kind of cracks me up, Justin Bieber. He's such, like, an enigma. He does kind of give off, like, Kanye West energy in, like, the best way. Like, not, we know Kanye is Kanye, but, like, this very, like, arty, like, I'm me. And this is how I do. Like, he's very that. And he was just chilling there in, like, basically a pair of shorts that looked like a pair of boxers, strumming away on the guitar, singing for his life, shirtless. Like, he gives no fucks. He's not in his era anymore of, like, performance outfits. He's not dancing. He's just like, yeah, it's just me and a loop pedal and my boxers. And what are you going to do about it? Sorry. I kind of respect him for that. But it was just quite, like, unconventional, shall we say. We then had Miss Gaga perform Abracadabra, which I was buzzing about. That was such a good performance. You have to go look at it on YouTube if you've not seen it, because it was visually a masterpiece. They must have been using this, like, I don't know what the camera is, but have you ever seen the glam bots that they do on, like, the red carpets that go quite viral and people do, like, the slow-mo pose? Well, they have, like, these funny cameras that do that are, like, fast-moving cameras that are sort of, it's given, like, robot. It's, like, a robotic kind of camera that's, like, on an arm. And I think that's what they must have been using for Gaga's performance, because it was doing this crazy angle thing where it was, like, following her around. And I was like, whoa. This is quite unique. Very Gaga. Like, of course she would do something quite inventive like that. She had a really funky outfit on, like this, like, bird cage thing around her head. Like, it was just quintessentially Gaga, and I loved it. And I was glad to see that she did win at least one award for her album Mayhem. I personally think Abracadabra was Song of the Year. I would have liked to seen her have swooped that up, but I think who got it instead? I think it was Kendrick Lamar and SZA. Oh wait, that was the one. I think that was the one where Cher, like, oh, Cher. Hi. That's my Cher impression. No, Cher, bless her, gal, what was she doing? She did one of those, like, classic fumble moments where she, like, misread something or she, like, mispronounced something and people were a bit confused. I think the song's called Luther, and instead of, like, announcing it correctly, she said Luther Vandross, who is literally, like, dead. And and everyone was a bit confused, and then she was like, oh, SZA, Kendrick Lamar. Oh, I felt like that was the most Cher thing to ever happen, so that was quite a funny moment. But the big award of the night, which is usually the biggest gong to take home, is Album of the Year. And that actually went to Bad Bunny, linking back into Super Bowl Sunday. He's doing the halftime show. Now, there's actually been quite a bit of talk around him this week because of the fact that, obviously, the tensions in America, there was a lot going on in the Grammys, in people's speeches, the whole, like, get ICE out of here, rightly so. Lots of the celebs are wearing, like, these little badges that said ICE out. And Bad Bunny, obviously, he is from... Where is he from? So, not Spain. Brazil? Oh my God, where's he from? Oh, he's from Puerto Rico, sorry. So, but obviously he sings, like, he's known for mainly just singing in Spanish. And with, like, the current political backdrop of just how much, obviously, hatred and vitriol there is from the Trump administration to, like, Hispanic people, for example, and the whole get the immigrants out kind of nonsense that's going on. Like, they're in such a tizzy about the fact that he's doing a Super Bowl halftime show and it's going to be mainly all in Spanish. And the MAGA lot of, oh my God, the MAGA crowd are like losing their minds over it. The Turning Point USA organisation, we know them, the bloody racist white evangelical freaks, Charlie Kirk lot. They're putting on their own halftime. Oh my God, it's actually so cringe. They are trying to counteract the fact that Bad Bunny is going to be at the Super Bowl halftime show by making their own, like, all American. Like, let's make it really American. We just want white male singers. I think like Kid Rock or something is doing it. I don't even know where they're doing it. Probably in some like fucking random shed. And it's like, they're doing it at the same time, I think, just to try and prove a point that, like, this is the American Super Bowl. We shouldn't have like an immigrant or a Spanish speaking. But how dare they? Oh my God, literally get a life. Literally get a life, you sad people. Anyway, lot of politics, a lot of stuff going on there, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was sort of like a political choice to make sure that Bad Bunny got that huge album of the year moment. Like, I personally, like, I do not know really anything about his music myself. I think I know like one of his songs, but he is very, very popular. Like, he is a huge artist in other parts of the world. I really don't think he's that popular in the UK. Maybe it's just me. I'm not convinced that we're that onto the Bad Bunny hype here, but he's obviously a huge global deal because he's doing the fucking halftime show. But I think it was very apt that he won it in the current climate. I thought, yeah, take that, Trump. And of course, Trump had a little rant about it online. Like, the Grammys are awful. Oh, they hate it. They hate it. He's such a sado. This man literally has no life. It's so sad. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing it though. I love a Super Bowl halftime show. Like I said, I don't know any of his music, but I am sure it will be a thrilling time. Anything that's got like a bit of Spanish, Hispanic vibes, like that sound of music, is always a fun time. Like, it just is. I reckon it'll be colourful. I reckon there'll be some fun outfits. Like, I think it'll be a good halftime show. So I look forward to reviewing that probably tomorrow, because I ain't staying up in the middle of the night to watch it. Sorry, hen. No. The last halftime show was it Usher? Was that last year? Super Bowl halftime show. What bloody year are we in? 25. Oh no, hang on. It was Kendrick last year, wasn't it? Oh, how can we forget the Kendrick Lamar halftime show when he basically dissed Drake to the whole world? They not like us. They not like us. Hey! Yeah. Oh, I love a halftime show. Do you know what? Let me go through a quick rapid list, right, of some of my favourite halftime shows. Maybe you can relate. Maybe some of these are your faves. Let me know in the comments if you've got a favourite halftime show. The one that always comes to my mind as my top one is, weird enough, J-Lo and Shakira. Bit of a random duo. Yes, well, not really a random duo, but because they're both like equally big pop gals, you know, but that truly, the choreography, just the stage, that whole thing is sublime. I have watched that halftime show too many times to count. Paris Gobel, I think her name is. She is an amazing choreographer. She's like a world-renowned choreographer. She choreographed Abracadabra by Lady Gaga, the music video. She actually choreographed all of Rihanna's halftime Super Bowl show, which is also on my list. And she choreographed, I think maybe it was just the J-Lo section. I'm not sure if she did the Shakira part, but the J-Lo section was sublime. And yeah, I just, that entire halftime show, it was so colourful. There was so much going on. The dancing was amazing. It is absolutely my favourite one, and it is always my go-to. If I go back and watch one, it has to be that one all the time. Like I just mentioned, Rihanna, also in that list. She was a bit more subdued in her halftime show. It wasn't giving much staging. It was very, like, minimalistic. But I love so many Rihanna songs, and I think I knew every single song that she performed, which is always fun to watch as a viewer, because you're just, like, bopping out to each song. And she was pregnant at the time as well. That was crazy. She was fully preggers, like, hanging hundreds of feet off the ground on these, like, crazy platforms. That was a very impressive halftime show, I have to say. Next in the list, I mean, are we surprised that most of this list is being taken up by, like, all the pop girlies? Because, come on, when did they not deliver? But Katy Perry was actually really good in her halftime show. I know Katy Perry's a bit, like, hit and miss these days, but do you remember when she came out on, like, that giant elephant or some shit? Oh, no, not an elephant, sorry. My brain's, like, totally mixing that up with the Take That summer show where they come out on an elephant. Anyway, Digress. Sorry, not an elephant, a lion, of course, because the Raw song, that was the whole thing. But she came out and she had Missy Elliott. Oh, that whole halftime show was sensational. Love, love, love. And you know who else is in my list, who's not a pop girly, but more a pop R&B guy, is Usher. Usher was actually so good. Like, it was giving chaos. It was a bit of a chaotic halftime show from my memory. And there was a lot of transitions happening, and there was like a few moments where like the cameraman might have fallen or he like went a bit skewiff. There was that whole moment where he brought out Alicia Keys and she fully butchered the first note that came out of her mouth. She was really off key, and then they had to edit it in the later version, which I think is hilarious. But I watched that live and she butchered it. She just had a really bad moment with the note just where, and it was like, oh, girl, you're at the Super Bowl. But anyway, the Usher one was so fun. He was out there rollerblading. He was doing flipping tricks. He had Lil Jon doing, yeah. It was so good. It was honestly, I watched that one like quite frequently. So big up Usher. So there we go. That's my little quick rundown. J-Lo, Shakira, Rihanna, Katy Perry, Usher. Those are the ones that like really come into my brain immediately. Obviously, there's been so many good ones in the last few years. Like, you've had Coldplay, Beyonce. When Beyonce brought out Destiny's Child, oh, that was a moment. I would love, low-key, to see a halftime show in person. But I actually, a lot of the time, I'm convinced it must be so shit in the stadium. Because you always see people's videos of it and how the audio actually just sounds so bad. I'm sure, like, visually, it probably looks amazing when you're actually in the stadium. But if you think about many of the halftime shows and you watch them back, like, there's so much of them that are specifically designed for TV. Like, the way that they produce it, the camera, like, it's really amazingly done for TV. And I just can't imagine that that feels the same in person. Even though I'm sure the atmosphere is electric, but, like, yeah, I wonder what that must be like. Also, speaking of sports, another big old sports thing that has occurred this weekend is the Winter Olympics have begun. I'll be honest, I can't say that I really ever get that into the Winter Olympics. I love the normal Olympics. That is my shit. I love watching the Olympics so much. But the Winter Olympics is not something I've often clocked onto. However, I will say I am highly invested in like the ice skating, the figure skating. I actually need to find out when all that is happening and when to find it on TV or whatever. Because it is sublime how these figure skaters are just spinning around, doing pirouettes, throwing each other up in the air, all the meanwhile on bladed ice. It's so dangerous. Oh my God. I actually am so flabbergasted at how skilled they are. I always think of obviously the film I, Tonya and that whole story because that's like an iconic story for figure ice skaters, but it's just, oh, it's mesmerising. So that's the one thing of Winter Olympics I really like watching. I'm also a big fan of ice hockey too, so whenever there's an opportunity to watch ice hockey on TV, sign me up, bitch. So they're taking place in Italy, in like different parts of Italy, obviously in like the snowy parts. I don't know the specific names of all these places, but I think it's spread out in like different mountainous ski type regions because obviously you've got all the skiers going downhill. In fact, I think there was a bit of a drama this morning. I think one of these top athletes from the USA team, one of the female skiers, she had like a massive crash and they had to like airlift her from a helicopter from the mountains. I'm like, oh my God. If there's one thing about the Winter Olympics I do always think in comparison to the normal Olympics is the increased level of danger in some of these sports, like the snowboarding, the skiing. Also that, oh my God, what do they call it? The slalom? The thing that they do in Cool Runnings. Oh my God, what is that called? Cool Runnings sport. Oh, sorry, bobsleigh. That's what it's called, the bobsleighing. That shit is crazy. The way that they just like run on the ice and the speed that those bobsleighs are swinging around the corners. There was a video a couple of weeks ago, actually. I think it must have been in some other competition, like pre-Winter Olympics. And there was like some drama with the male American team where they couldn't hop into the bobsleigh on time. And they all just went flying over the side. I was like, oh my God, that is so dangerous. Like, yeah, the level of danger is honestly quite crazy in the Winter Olympics. Like, could not be me. But props to them. I did catch a bit of the opening ceremony. It was quite good. It was very colourful. Obviously, it's all about like Italian culture. They're all in these fancy outfits. There was like moments where they were dressed as like Roman goddesses, all the arts and the fashion. There was like a catwalk moment. Like, it was really, honestly, very good. And then I did think it was just really random that they just had Mariah Carey popping up to sing some Italian song, which I'm sorry, I'm convinced she was miming. I'm not entirely convinced that was live, but like, it was just really random. It's like, oh, we're doing all this like heritage culture about Italy, and hey Mariah, hey girly, let's just throw like a random little pop star in there. I mean, does Mariah have any Italian heritage? Does she have any relation to Italy? Am I just don't know that? Let's Google it. Mariah Carey Italian connection. Maybe there is. Hold on, bear with me. I'm just reading a random article. Mariah Carey's Italian connection explained. Winter Olympics 2026 opening ceremony performance sparks curiosity. Yeah, you're right there. While Carey may not have a direct personal or professional link to Italy, her familiarity with Italian music traces back to her childhood. Her mother was a Juilliard-trained opera singer, and Carey has recalled in her autobiography a defining moment from when she was 3 years old. Okay, so like, she's not Italian. Like, she does not have Italian families. She obviously just has a love for that kind of music. So it is, in fact, very random that she's there. But hey, Mariah Diva, you slay. She, even though it sounded pre-recorded, she sounded great. It was very operatic. I did thoroughly enjoy the moment where, you know, they do all the performances and then obviously all the countries come out and they do the flag raising, and Team USA come out and they so every time a country comes out, they generally cut the cameras to like a representative from their country. It's usually one of the presidents or like the prime minister or whoever. And of course, Team USA comes out, and who's there to represent them but none other than the vice president that we all hate, J.D. Vance. And they show him on camera and he's there with his wife waving his USA flag, and the boos that came towards him was so great to see. We love to see the booing of an absolute fascist. So that was fun to see. Glad they all booed him. From what I was reading, apparently the Olympics had tried to plead with the audience to please not make it political and do not boo anyone that you see. And let's just say Italy got the assignment. They said, no bitch, we will be booing you whether you like it or not. So props to you Italians, love that. Another slight random controversy which kind of popped up this week to do with the Winter Olympics, which she's getting in a lot of heat about, and it makes me sad because she's my fave. Miss Tate McRae, pop girly, she's Canadian, but she did have a bit of a random moment this week where she's obviously done some kind of like brand deal or like, you know, some commercial collaboration with the broadcasters, I think in America, that are showing the Olympics. And she did this advert, but it was like all about like basically hyping up Team USA, but she's Canadian. She's like, her PR team, respectfully, her management team, what were they thinking? And now everyone's toasting her in the comments, like unsurprisingly, like, girl, you're Canadian. Like, did you forget that your own home country also has a huge Olympics team? Which, by the way, of all the countries, like Canada is one of the most prolific countries that would be represented Winter Olympics, especially. Like, their entire like culture is like ice hockey and all of it. So that was a very strange move. I mean, if you watch the advert, you'll get it. But like, she's like, the whole advert is her like skiing down a mountain and her song's playing in the background, and she's like talking about how excited she is to like, oh, there's gonna be the opening ceremony, and Team USA will be there, and then she's talking about like all these different athletes from Team USA. I think they missed a mark there. I think they missed a mark, and she has not addressed it. Even though every single one of her videos and posts is like completely flooded with comments like, girl, did you forget you were Canadian? Also, in the current political backdrop, what do you mean you're actively showing support to Team USA? Respectfully, I don't know. I know the world and the internet does like to make things very dramatic for no reason, but I can't lie, I kind of feel like it's valid. It does, that I feel like that would be like me. Let's just imagine in an imaginary world that I was some famous brand ambassador, and it would be like, let's say, I don't know, the Football World Cup, and that would be like me doing like a whole advert bigging up England when I'm actually Welsh and I should be supporting the Wales team. Like, it is really quite random. So, Tatey girl, you might want to just maybe find a new team. I don't know. That seemed very dodgy to me. But hey, that segues us nicely into Politics Corner, is what I'll call it today. We've gone through all the pop culture things. We've gone through my general week. Let's get on to Politics Corner, which you know is my deep interest these days. I actually had a really wholesome day yesterday. I went along to, it was a launch event in Manchester called Women Against the Far Right. And it's basically this movement and this group of women in Manchester, in the Northwest. And actually, it's not just local to the Northwest, it's across the UK. It's linked with the Stand Up to Racism charity as well. And it's essentially like an activism campaign to try and get these fucking far-right losers out of our country, resist, obviously, the opposition of Nigel Farage, reform, like all the just crazy stuff that's going on there. And it was like a launch event where they had like different speakers, they had like councillors and different charity representatives, trade unions, they had a choir. Like, it was honestly so inspirational. It was nice to just sit there and be in a huge room, mainly obviously of other women, a couple of men there too, we love to see it. But like knowing that you're sat amongst people who will very clearly share your morals and values of like, hey, let's just like not be racist. Hey, let's not discriminate others just because of the colour of their skin. Hey, how about we don't want fascism in the country? Like, that is a reassuring feeling, knowing that you're in a safe space. Everyone around you feels the same way. And it's just nice to like have a little inspirational event, like listen to people tell their stories. Like, I honestly left there just feeling very hopeful. I did actually make like a little TikTok video all about it. So I'm actually going to try and insert this into this pod here. So if you are listening, I probably would recommend that you quickly look at the video version. I know you can look at video on the Spotify app, or if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, then you already see it. So let me just insert my little TikTok here. Come with me to do feminism. Who hits the whoa anymore? Whoa! Let's go. If there was ever a time for feminism and activism, it is now. So today I took myself out in the bloody piddling rain in classic UK winter weather. But alas, it was worth it, because today marked the launch of the Women Against the Far Right Northwest initiative. Taking place in Central Hall in Manchester City Centre, I decided to take myself along and have a little listen to the community of speakers who are all basically advocating for a stop to the rise in the fascist rhetoric that we hear, specifically in the UK, Nigel Farage, the reforms, all the lot of them. Some very good literature and signs around, which was quite enjoyable. And some really great talk. So let's just listen in on some of it.
How exciting is this? How exciting. Just goes to show what we can pull off when we all come together. So I want to say, as I was saying, my name is Megan Wigz. I am the chair of Greater Manchester Stand Up to Racism. You know, the far right are using the narrative that women aren't safe, and that's why they are targeting refugees outside hotels. As if we need the far right to stand up and speak for us. As if we need the far right to defend women. That's what today is about. It's about women reclaiming their voices.
Amen. It was honestly a really great event. It brought together groups and representatives from all faiths and communities. There were councillors, trade unions, key organisers from Stand Up to Racism, and we even had a bloody sprinkle of music. This was the Manchester Indie Choir, which did some fabulous renditions of some songs. And you know what? The day just left me feeling hopeful. Hopeful for the future. Hopeful that there's people out there fighting the fight. And honestly, fuck the far right. And come on, Manchester! Woo! Amen. So yeah, very much had a lovely day yesterday. Really glad I went to that. And we will be reconvening again in a couple of weeks. They obviously put on lots of different events and lots of activities and counter-protests to all sorts of things that happen in the UK, specifically obviously in Manchester. So I'm really getting into my activism role. I'm trying to just fight the fight out here and keep the positive vibes going. The very fascist far-right group Britain First are coming to Manchester in like 2 weeks, and they are really like not good people, to put it very politely. They're very extremely racist, horrible people that just like literally believe that all immigrants are the problem for everything. Get them all out of the country. They're the Union Jack waving weirdos. So they're really just nasty people. And this group, along with other groups are forming an alliance, shall we say, to just go and peacefully counter-protest that and just show that, like, hey, we're out here supporting people no matter what they look like. So I'm definitely going to go to that. I met some cute little girlies there yesterday and they said that they were going to go to that protest too. So I was like, oh, look, we're making activism friends. And that's literally all I wanted for so long. So I'm excited about that. And I'm really going to try my best to like make a full episode out of that. I'm going to try and maybe take my phone along and do some like audio recording. Maybe I'll get chatting to some people, maybe get a few clips and some interview style questions in there. I'm going to try and like video it. Like, I'm really going to try and put something together in a few weeks for that episode. So if you are interested in any of that, stay tuned, keep an eye out for that episode. We're fighting the fight, we're doing the good cause, and yeah, I'd be thrilled for you to join along with me on this pod on that journey. I mean, God, there has been a lot going on this week with the Epstein files. That has obviously been quite a that's been a talking point for like many years, obviously, but there has been a large release in the last week or so of these Epstein files, and I mean, this goes without saying, like the absolutely heinous crimes and the awful things that Jeffrey Epstein and others committed during all those years is just awful. And we've known that for years because obviously he went to jail and blah 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 blah, but it's all obviously coming back up as of late because of the fact that people have been demanding the release of these files that have been kept away for so long. And of course, in true fashion, the Trump administration have been doing everything in their power to delay it, to make it as hard as possible for people to figure out the true facts and the stories. They've been redacting loads of stuff, and they're only doing this to protect themselves and to mainly protect Trump because he's all over the files. What a shock, because he's a nonce. And speaking of nonces, oh my God, the Prince Andrew. Ooh, I tell you what, there has been, I don't mean to say this in like a disparaging, like, haha, gossipy comedy way, but like, God alive, there has been some juicy content, shall we say, that has been coming out of these files. And it's not like we're shocked at it. Let's be so real. We all knew Prince Andrew is a complete nonce. And like basing it off of that interview he did with Emily Maitlis years ago, like he fucked it from that point, didn't he? The whole like, I was in Picture Express and Woken and I don't sweat, I have a medical condition. Like, honest to God, they should hang their heads in shame. Like, it's so embarrassing how they treat this. And like on a very serious level, it's like there are hundreds of real victims of women completely abused and neglected and also dismissed, made to feel like they're liars. Oh, it's all fake news. No, it's all very true. And now we're starting to see more and more unfold. There's been a massive reaction in the UK specifically, obviously, to Prince Andrew. There have been some very uncompromising photos coming out of him, like on all fours, like across like what looks to be a very young woman. All of his claims that he tried to deny and say that like, oh, I didn't know, and the photo of me and Virginia was not real. Totally like dispelled that, clear as day that he was lying through his teeth. And then of course we've got this politician or ex-politician called Peter Mandelson. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really know who this man was. Like, as you will have heard a few episodes ago, I did a whole thing about my relationship with politics and when I got to understand a bit more about what goes on. So I obviously for many years have had no clue who Peter Mandelson is. I was obviously a lot younger, probably when he was in a prominent figure in the government. But I guess he was at one point in life, I think he was in the time where Gordon Brown was the Prime Minister, and he was essentially like the Deputy Prime Minister. So he was a very, very high up figure in government. And he's been floating around for many years ever since. He was like a lord, like in the House of Lords or whatever. And he's been up to some very naughty stuff. And he's now pretty much likely to go to jail. It's all come out in this recent batch of Epstein files that he's been not only associating with a convicted paedophile when he knew he was a paedophile, lying about how much of a relationship he had with Jeffrey Epstein, like that's all coming to light. And then the biggest bombshell really on top of it that I don't think anyone was necessarily expecting is that he might have actually like committed like a major treason. What do they call it? I think it's like the Official Secrets Act, they call it in the UK, where you essentially are sort of like providing secrets or highly confidential information to people when you obviously shouldn't be in that position. And a lot of it is given like insider trading. Like there were emails where he had been telling Jeffrey Epstein about certain things that were happening with the banks or like stuff to do with I'm not really explaining this very well because I'm not super versed on it. But long story short, there's like deals and happenings in government and things that were going on that would have impacted like people's money in the economy. And it looks like, based off the emails, that Peter Manson was like feeding that information to Jeffrey Epstein when he shouldn't have been, which is illegal. And then obviously he's taken that information to like enrich himself and his friends all around him. So that's like insanely illegal. I think you can literally go to jail for that. So now they're looking into all those accusations, which is pretty crazy. What a downfall for him, and rightly so, though, because do you know what's actually driving me so insane? No, I mean, we all know the Epstein file shit is just crazy and dark and scary, but I'm sorry, how is the world not acting more outraged? Like, the absolute outrage reaction, rightly so, when those ICE shootings were happening a few weeks ago, and the way that obviously the world erupted and the thousands of people took to the streets, again, rightly so. Like, in my opinion, how are we not having the same reaction about the Epstein files? It just doesn't feel like the energy is matching what it should be. These are horrendous crimes. They are so deeply rooted in power imbalance that we're talking like the richest, most prominent figures in the world for decades. Abuse, power, money, all of it. Let me tell you, when they finally finished combing through all of these Epstein files, which, by the way, they still haven't even released all of them when they should have. There's still like another 3 million pages to go. But when they eventually, hopefully, get unredacted versions and they actually go through and understand who is responsible for what, like, surely there has to be justice for that. Like, these people should be in jail. Donald Trump should not be the president. Some of the things that have just come out in the recent batch about, I can't even say them on this podcast because they're that awful. And we're just brushing over it. The way that him and his sad little press secretary, Caroline Levitt, they just, oh, it's nothing. Oh, it's fake news. None of this happened. Bitch, please, please. It is just outrageous. The systems that are in place that do not bring these predators, these criminals, these paedophiles to jail. It's insanity. All because of power and money. And I mean, obviously the majority of people are outraged at it, but in terms of actual tangible consequences, that's what the problem is. Like, it is not happening. They're not even prosecuted. They're not doing anything. Specifically in the US, I think the Attorney General or whatever, isn't it? This guy came out and was like, yeah, we're just making it clear, like, we're not pursuing any charges just because we've released them. That doesn't mean we're going to do anything after it. And what? Like, at least, I guess, the one saving, redeeming factor for the UK is that at least the police seem to be trying to do something, obviously, about Peter Mandelson. It's like, let me tell you, they need to be bloody going for Prince Andrew next, because, well, sorry, I keep saying that. He's not even a prince anymore, is he? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He should be in jail. They should all be in jail, all of them. And it's just, it's absolutely sickening how much they just get away with. Like, and it's this repeated story, isn't it? We see it all the time of just misuse of position and crimes and like just the most awful things. And it's just a slap on the wrist. Where's the last thing I can think of that resulted in any real justice was when they did the Me Too movement and Harvey Weinstein actually got put away. Like, it feels like those are such rare occurrences where you see the big figures getting put behind bars. Like, there needs to be far more of that, in my opinion, because there's just so many criminals roaming free, and chief in point is the President of the United States. Honest to God, these people need to just rot in hell for all I care, because they are the worst of humanity. They are the worst of humanity. And the people that will stand there and defend it are even worse, in my opinion. I mean, we've already spoken last week about the Nicki Minaj's of it all. Like, honest to God. Even Lizzo this week is in quite a bit of hot fire because she did a bit of a hot take on TikTok. And maybe she's been misunderstood. I don't think maybe she intended necessarily what she said to be quite as bad, but she was kind of trying to defend, not the Epstein files as such, but she was saying stuff along the lines of, well, the thing is, just because you're in the Epstein files, it doesn't necessarily mean you're guilty of anything. And like, yeah, like I get what she's saying, but the way that she was like minimizing almost the girl, sometimes people just shouldn't say anything. Like, I'm sorry, we should be giving a voice actually to the victims. Where are the victims in all this? Like, where's the narrative from the media about any of that? Instead, we're focusing on like the minutiae detail and the way that Trump reacts to things and like, stop giving him the platform. Just stop it. Focus on the real facts and the crimes and give a voice to those poor victims and women who have had their lives damaged because of it. Bloody awful. I think the Epstein files will just continue to unravel and unravel as the years go on. And I mean, by now, I honestly thought that was going to be the nail in the coffin for Trump. I really thought if there's one thing that's going to get him, it's going to be the Epstein files. And there's a part of me that's still holding on for hope that will be it. Like, I really hope that is his demise at some point. I'm hearing a lot of talk about, apparently there's this thing in America where they have obviously the midterm elections, right? Where halfway through the president's reign, they have like a midway point elections where you can think of it a bit like in the UK how you obviously elect like your MPs. Like, I think you sort of do it halfway through so that you could potentially shift the balance of who's in parliament, shall we say, or in the government. And that's a pretty like big moment for American politics. Like, I think if they can potentially shift the type of people and the power imbalance that's currently in the Trump administration and in the whole United States setup, there could be like a lot of impact that you could do from that. So I think on the other side of the Trump lot, there's the Democrats. And I think if there's more Democrats and more numbers and power, then they can force things to happen. So, for example, I think they have this whole plan to try and get Trump to testify about the Epstein files. Like, they have to force a vote for him to have to, like, on oath, do a whole thing on it. And right now they obviously can't do that because they're outnumbered. And of course, all the sad Republicans will always defend Trump till the day they die. So I think that'll be like an interesting sort of switch of events when that potentially happens. I'm convinced we'll see some downfall. It just has to happen, surely, at some point. Like, I think we've come too far as a globe and a world to sit by and let those things go unchecked. And I mean, obviously, we saw the complete outrage and backlash from just the ICE shootings. And it's like, the people are powerful. I'm really convinced that, like, no matter how powerful you might be in that position at the top, and of course, he has a lot of power he can wield, but, like, you respectfully cannot beat the power of the people. Like, I just think that's history, right? So I don't know. Stay tuned is all I gotta say, because I think it'll be an interesting rest of the year with all the political backdrop in America for sure. I mean, there's a lot going on, guys. There's obviously a lot going on in Politics Corner. When isn't there? I always feel it's important to just highlight all the things that are going on. And, hopefully we see some justice, hope we see some change coming soon. But on that note, that's really kind of all the main topics I've got to chat about today. We've done a good run through of topics in life. And you know what? I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my Sunday. I got to go edit this pod and go have a little chill out. And then this week, what is happening this week? Do I have anything? Oh, I'm going home this week, actually. I'm doing little home visits to Wales to see my beautiful little niece. Oh, do you know what I am doing this week, which I will come back to you with a review on the next episode? I am going to see Jodie Comer this week in Oh, hang on a minute. Let me just move this mic. I'm actually using the book as my little tripod thing for my mic. Look on the video right here. Prima Facie, I think that's how you say it. It is a book by Susie Miller, which I am still yet to actually read this book. I need to get on and read the original book, which I will probably likely do after seeing the show. It is a play that has Jodie Comer, who is one of our brilliant UK actresses. You probably know her from like Killing Eve, if you ever watched that. But it is just the most like amazing play. Me and my mum actually ended up seeing like a version of it in the cinemas. You know how they record musicals and plays and then they play it in the cinema. We watched it there because basically this is one of these plays that, as I think for many years it was sort of in the West End in London, but it was really hard to ever get tickets because it's such a huge popular show. It was just like really difficult to ever see it in person, so that's why we ended up seeing it through the cinemas. And then she announced then that she was touring it and it's going to be in Cardiff. So I was like, oh, I simply must get tickets. So managed to bag those tickets like a year ago, and it's coming up this week. So, yeah, very excited to see that play. The fact that we're going to see it in person and Jodie Comer will be right there. Oh, she's such a good actress. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. So I'll come back to you with a review. But without further ado, have a lovely rest of your week, gang, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!